today I just wanted to give you an insight into how at AT we're now starting to look at the issue and the opportunities around our relationship with China and trade. In saying that, I like to think that it's not just an Auckland thing, this is a New Zealand thing, and particularly at AT we are very much about growing Auckland for the benefit of New Zealand. I first want to start with a quote from The Economist. I think it was back in March 2009. New Zealand, despite its geographical isolation, has turned itself into an entrepreneurial powerhouse, leading the world in the creation of small to medium enterprises. I think it's important for us to understand some of the unique attributes that we have emerging in our country, and how that provides such a wonderful complement and a common sense complement with the growth of China, extraordinary growth, and coupled with that, a country that really wants to advance itself. So really coupling together this appetite for advancement and growth with an innovation hothouse in New Zealand, and where a whole bunch of great ideas are coming out of different sectors. If I may just take one moment, I just want to give you some understanding of how we are thinking about trade and this relationship with internationally, and how it relates to China. 4 areas. First of all, exporting. And this sort of gets back to Don and Taz stories a little bit. Exporting is sort of what we kind of think about, the physical export of products or services out of this country. The second part to the outward look is then business growth or business investment, and I think Don, in terms of his story, really starts to show this emergence of businesses that are really growing their platform internationally, investing overseas, and you know, Fonterra is a great story about that. On the other side, we're also thinking about inward. We always talk about this in the global name of FDI, but I think it's really important to just dissect this. First of all, it's capital investment, and how do we actually get capital into the country, particularly to support businesses that are looking to grow. And the fourth area is actually attracting businesses. And this is actually one of the most exciting places in terms of the development of our economy. How do we actually attract parts of businesses down to New Zealand because they want to be here, they want to be part of the ecosystem that we've got in terms of innovation and what we're doing. And you know, this is when you start getting into this area as economy, things start to really fly, because smaller businesses and other businesses start to leverage off the backbone of these bigger businesses that are investing into your economy and putting their resources down here. I just want to, under those headings, just give you some examples. I mean, you know, the export market is very much like a Villa Maria and the wine, and our Prime Minister sort of talked about the opportunities that are happening, particularly with China, particularly in the viticulture and wine area. Outward investment or business development internationally, we've heard it from Teo from Fonterra, you've heard from Don from Mainfreight, very much in those categories. On the other side, inward, we've got New Zealand New Milk that's invested, Chinese company invested 20% into New Zealand New Milk in terms of actually bringing capital down into the country and investment. There's a number of examples of this. Lastly, though, business relocation. This is, as I said, quite an exciting place. Just recently, you know, we've seen Crown Engineering out of Canada buying Inroad Technologies, a robotics development company in Penrose, and are now looking to establish their whole worldwide centre of robotic engineering actually in New Zealand, around Inroad, and actually bringing down that intellect into this country. And that's the stuff that really starts to make the wheels turn. I think when we think about our economy here in New Zealand, in Auckland particularly, it's then taking those sort of 4 areas of trade or leverage and putting it against what is really the focus sectors that comes out of sort of the economic development work that's been done previous to actually AT's involvement through MED and other research, but really understanding in these sectors how do we really support business and growth and leverage, particularly with China, across these 4 dimensions. And I think important here is to sort of start to link in some of the examples of where this is now coming about. I've sort of talked about Villa Maria, Fonterra, New Zealand Milk, but probably one I'll just pick up is October. October is a really exciting story. About 2 years ago, October Animation came about out of Nickelodeon signing a contract with October Animation for one of 3 key hubs internationally around animation. And this business has just grown rapidly. But the great thing now, it's got to a point where it's now looking to sell some of its own IP and software and research back up into China and Asia, and using that as a platform in terms of the growth. I've talked about INRO, but look, you know, the key sectors that we certainly are focusing on: food and bev, IT&C, health tech, high-tech manufacturing, film, and of course in the tourism and education space. So just before I move on, one of the key things on the investment side actually is understanding what kind of FDI investment you want. Only about 4% of our FDI dollars is focused on knowledge investment into this country. Only 4%. So a key objective is to try and grow that 4% to a much larger number, and that's very much a headline objective from an AT standpoint. So where are we going from an AT point of view? Look, you know, the key thing here is to really understand the competitive advantages of our sectors. Get these sectors very clear in terms of knowing what we're good at. Then telling the story and actually building around these sectors, looking at where there's market failure in these sectors, improving on that, like with the food sector, and looking at initiatives like the Food Bowl. We've got the Innovation Quarter coming together down at Wynyard, where these businesses can be a lot closer together. Really trying to tell the right story and getting that story out there and marketing ourselves. I sometimes feel that New Zealand, we're kind of always sort of been lost in that space. If we get the platform right, everybody's going to come. Well, it doesn't work that way. And you've really got to go out there and compete for businesses to be in New Zealand and attract that investment to this country. We've made some great progress of late, particularly around the tourism area and the luxury end of the Chinese traveller. The Prime Minister started to talk about that. A strong interest around the food and beverage sector, and that's really coming together, you know, particularly in the food processing plants. We've recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the Beijing Investment Promotion Bureau also to start to leverage where these relationships can come about. Continuing on that theme, obviously we are very conscious of the political and business interface, particularly in China and Asia. All those of us have worked up in Asia, which many of you have, just understand that powerful connection and being able to leverage off the back of some of our politicians up that way, opening these doors and creating the interface and creating the expectation around business cooperation is critical. We've had the mayor up, as we talked about, up in the China visits. We've been working closely with MFAT, NZT and Tourism New Zealand. But you know, this has also been leveraged into the tourism sector and also into the investment platform. So very excited by that standpoint. We're close to coming out with this Invest in Auckland, which is going to be written in Chinese, focused on the Chinese market, which is really sort of marketing to China and Chinese investors the opportunities down here. Not only that will that cover off opportunities for knowledge-based investment, but also cover off areas of infrastructure-based investment around the Auckland economy. So again, that's close to being rolled out in the next month or two. So look, finally, I just want to leave you with you know, just a summary of what we're really focused about from an AT point of view. Really, we're focused on making sure that we do tell the story, We are out there talking about these key sectors that we're focused on. In summary, particularly when it comes to China, it's around the ITC space, health, and the tourism markets. We are backing that up with the support for these sectors here, supporting the businesses to export out of those sectors, but really also looking to leverage both direct investment into the sectors and also attracting these businesses to Auckland, of which actually is not mutually exclusive of other businesses growing off the back of those businesses that you attract for greater trade between both countries. So look, thank you. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight about where our thinking's at from an APT perspective.